What is going on, people? Welcome back. So today I've got another student testimonial for you guys. So if you have been wondering whether you want to join Quantum Leap or not, hopefully this is another video that's going to help you make that decision. So in this video, I got a former student of mine and a really good friend, Mihir. But I hope I said your name right, bro. But yeah, he is a good friend of mine, and it was truly an honor for me to be able to help you in your journey, my bro. And yeah, before we begin, I want to ask you to take a deep breath in with me right now, and a deep breath out. All right, what's good, people? So I've got Mihir here, and Mihir was part of Quantum Leap. How long ago?
Um, Ended in February. No, January.
January.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Oh, you
Yeah,
joined around December time.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're just into New Year's as well.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it ended February halfway because we started on the right in New Year's.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Some,
remember. I
yeah,
remember.
sometime around then.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
tell me, what was life like before?
Um, so I went through quite a big change last year. Um, where I came out of quite a long-term relationship, and yeah, I was feeling quite down. Of like the lockdown with COVID and stuff didn't help. So I was kind of battling my emotions on my own at home, which was quite difficult. And then, well, after conversations with you, with like the Quantum Leap program and stuff, I thought that that might be a good thing to kind of use to bring some positivity into my life and maybe change my perception of things and help me basically. Um, and which yeah, I do think that it's helped quite a lot. Like I'm still learning, but yeah, I think I'm taking the right steps in the right path, and hopefully, like yeah, it should
Definitely. Definitely. I think
help.
a lot has changed. Like
Mm,
even your energy. Do you know what I mean? And like personally, Meher is a good friend of mine, and it's like you've seen me go through the
mm,
transformation as well. It wasn't just me seeing you go through that transformation, but you kind of like witnessed me from who I was in the past and who I am today, and like that kind of inspired you to kind of like be curious, right? Like what I was doing,
yeah,
and if you could maybe talk a bit about that.
yeah. So like I remember back like quite a few years back now. Um, I would say you were quite a timid guy, quite quiet, and
Yeah.
then yeah, slowly, I started to see the transition like through all the comfort challenges and stuff like that. So like where you lie down in the middle of Oxford Street, which is like yeah, at the time I was yeah, it was a bit mind blowing for someone on the outside.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, so slowly throughout time, I saw the transition, and yeah, I think that was one of the things that I kind of thought about, which is what brought me to the Quantum Leap program.
Yeah, I think it was like the change. Like if I could do it, so can you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you, like, what was it, the moment where you decided, okay, I'm about to go in? What was it
Um,
like that moment where you're like, okay, I need to change this, otherwise my life's gonna be the same?
it was it was like around the November time. So just before the end of last year, oh well, sorry, yeah, end of last year. I thought new year, like a lot's happened in my life, especially in this year. Let me do something big that's gonna help me, you know? Like I remember like I was thinking about how you've changed over the years, and it would yeah, I had to, as I said, like it was kind of like inspirational. Um, and that's pretty much why I did it. And yeah, and
Yeah,
I do think it's helped quite a lot.
definitely,
Mm,
definitely. I'd say, all right, let's talk about what was, when we started the first challenge, right? the lying down challenge. You did it
Yeah.
in the middle of Tesco, right?
Mm.
For everyone listening, that's a supermarket. And Mihir literally, that's I think that's one of the hardest spots you can do it in because it's like it's in a closed up area, you know,
Mm.
and like no one's doing anything weird in a supermarket, right? So whereas you chose to lie down and talk us through it, like what was your reaction when I first told you, okay, this is the challenge that you're gonna do?
So I've always perceived myself to be someone that doesn't really care about what other people think. That's how I've always perceived myself. And at the time, like when you mentioned that that's one of the challenges, I didn't think that's something that was going to be difficult. So yeah, I was kind of looking forward to it. I thought, yeah, this would be sort of a walk in the park, you know. Then it came to the last hour, just before I did it, and then yeah, that's when the nerves came up, the tension started building, and yeah, I started procrastinating. Um, yeah, just but I pepped myself up and I just did it. Like yeah, I thought the
Yeah,
best place to do it would initially I was going to do it on the road. But yeah, I had to go shopping, and I thought now's the time. And
this
then I
is
just
it.
lied down on the floor.
This is it. So tell us through it. Like, what was the initial reaction as you were going to do it, and then what happened like during it and after it?
So yeah, initially, yeah, before I started, it was quite difficult because I was going to pull out. I was just going to stop and not do it. I was sweating. Um, yeah, but then pepped myself up, got the adrenaline pumping, and I just did it. And like, yeah, I have to admit, like the at the time, the first 10 seconds, I'd say, it was a bit difficult. But once you calm the nerves down and you just accept that you're on the floor,
Yeah.
and just relax, it feels
Yeah.
good. It feels relieving.
Yeah.
And then when you get up, you feel like a whole new person.
Yeah. Exactly. I think I wanna like, what was your take from that? Because you know, when I was talking to you on the first call and I was telling you this is what's gonna happen, this is what you're gonna go through, and then that experience where you stood up and you felt this level of freedom,
Mm,
right? What was that? You know, because you could see the difference between before you did the challenge and after you did the challenge, right?
yeah.
And like that sense of freedom from what exactly would you say?
Um, it's more freedom from your ego. So like in terms of the thoughts that come through your mind where, oh, what's that person thinking of me? Why is he on the floor? Like no one really cares. They might look at you
Yeah,
and yeah, they just look away. You know, they might ask themselves a question or two and then look away, carry on about their business.
yeah,
Like in my case, my sister was recording like me on the floor, and one of her friends popped in the store and asked her like, "What is he doing?" And at the time, I was a bit nervous. I was like, "Oh, okay, I've been noticed. You know, someone's actually asking my sister like, what am I doing?" Then I accepted it, and yeah, she just told him to like, well, told her that he's going through some like the quantum leap program and like what it's about. Like it was quite a brief conversation, but she gave a like a gist of what it is. Um, and yeah, then that person just went about their day.
so it's like it made you realize like how no one cared, right? No one
Mm,
cared, and that fear that you felt initially, like what happened to it?
it disappeared pretty much. Well, yeah, I basically thought there's no need to worry. Because what's there to worry about? I'm fine. I'm on the floor, and no one cares.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the intention was for you to get to a stage where you know you separate yourself, you distance yourself from the fear, and you
Mm,
breathe through it,
yeah.
right? Because there's so many moments in our life that there'll be a situation like that will come up where you have to make a decision or make a step or take some action, and it's like there's gonna be fear there,
Mm,
but like the realization, okay, it wasn't actually that bad. If anything, I feel free afterwards. Like, and it wasn't about what was the challenge, what was the specific step that you took, but rather the the whole process of you lying in the fear,
Mm.
right? In a way where it's like everyone will know there's something strange going on with you. Usually, generally in our lives, it's like when we're trying to take action, no one is going to know if you're afraid or not, right? It's
Mm.
like only you would know. But in that situation, it's like everyone's also staring at you, so it's like provoking other fears that you might have, and the only thing you want to do is run away before, but afterwards you get up and you're like, yo, I could do that again.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, do you
Yeah.
see the difference between before and after where you're like, yeah, I could do that again quite
Mm.
easily. Right. Okay, so let's go into week 2, the shop challenge.
Yeah.
Talk us through that.
So again, similar to the first challenge, I thought, yeah, it's gonna be a walk in the park. You know,
Yeah.
I don't really care what other people think. Uh, Again, an hour before I was about to do it, I started procrastinating. Um, and then I did the first, let's say I did 2 shops. The first shop, it probably lasted maybe 15 seconds, if that.
Yeah.
Like the whole conversation from the point that I picked up, I think it was a chocolate bar. Um,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, from the point I picked up the chocolate bar to the point that I left the shop, it was probably 15 seconds, if that. And yeah, after that, I was sweating. I didn't know I didn't know how to carry on the conversation. It was so awkward. It was just, yeah, it was pretty awkward, I have to admit.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, I left the shop, and I don't know if you remember, man, but I called you, and I was like, I need some advice, man. I don't know if I can do this. Um, yeah,
I
and you
think I
give
remember.
your motivational words, and yeah, that's it. Gave it 5 minutes. I went to the other shop and did the other one. And yeah,
What
that
was
one,
that?
I think that one lasted, I think just under a minute. I was a little bit more persistent.
Yeah.
Sadly, I
Yeah.
didn't get it where, I can't remember where it was now, but yeah, I didn't get it free, sadly. But hey,
Yeah, that wasn't a part of it. I mean,
yeah.
there's so many students that actually get it for free.
Mm.
But again, like we're not going in there with an outcome. If anything, no is better, but it's just about being persistent with it. So, okay, and like, what was your take on that in terms of what did you walk away with?
Um, it's similar to the first challenge in terms of um people not really caring,
Yeah,
and accepting rejection. So, like
yeah,
in my case, both times I went to the shops, I got rejected. And
yeah,
initially, like as before I even started the challenge, I thought I don't really care if I get rejected or not. Like, I've never really cared about. Well, this is how I perceive myself. I never really cared about how people perceived me or if I got rejected. Um, and I wouldn't say I personally cared about the rejection side of things. But what I walked away with, like myself, was confidence. Is the confidence in order to go into that shop and do something that no one
mm,
else does.
yeah, yeah, and having the ability to like ask, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So the intention was now we lie down in fear. Now you communicated with fear,
mm,
and then this is where the work really begins. Was the
mm,
next week, right? Where you had to write a letter and basically open a conversation with your parents.
mm.
And if you could walk us through that, it's like, what was your first response to even hearing about the challenge?
I think that's where majority of my growth was, um, because my upbringing was quite difficult, from like a emotional and physical, like from emotional and physical trauma. Um, and yeah, that was with my parents mainly. Um, so yeah, initially I found that quite difficult. To I've never really had those type of conversations with my parents, and we're quite open as a family. But it we've never really spoke about that side, and sometimes my parents can be a little bit difficult. Um, so yeah, I would say that was probably the most difficult part of the whole program, but it also equally had the same amount of growth once I overcome it.
Yeah. I think, what's crazy, most of my students out of everyone hits the third challenge. Third week is probably the most life-changing moment,
Mm.
because it's like the first 2 weeks you're not prepared, you're not knowing what's coming. Why are we doing this? It's almost like you're like, okay, cool, I understand the concept. I'm not really sure why we're doing this though. And then the third week, it just boom, everything just clicks.
Mm.
Because the first week, my intention was to get you comfortable with fear. The second week was detach from the outcome. Third week was do both together now, but with your deepest fear. Now, most people wait till death to have these conversations. Whereas my intention was, let's make you have that conversation now. Because the transformation that happens, like I keep saying it, the cave you fear to enter
Mm.
holds the treasure you seek, but it's not the treasure, because we think in our heads, we convince ourselves we're only doing this for a result. But it's who you become the moment you step in there. Right? Like with any challenge that you've done throughout the weeks, it's like it was never about the results. It's about you even trying.
Mm.
You could say, I tried 5 seconds and I got back up on the first week. I would have said, still counted that as a success, even though you might have not. But the second week, again, no outcome. I have students who got free shit from the most unexpected way, and students who, like, got nothing. But either way, it's a success. Third week, again, some students, they spoke to their parents flipped. Some students, they had the most beautiful moment. Some students couldn't even do it. They could probably do it to their mum, but not their dad. And then it tells us a lot more about who you really are at this point. We get to understand who you are as a man or a woman at this point. So then on the fourth week, this is where we went a bit deeper, because you had those conversations with your mum and dad. And what was that like?
So it wasn't, the conversations weren't with my mom. It was mainly with my dad. Um, because that's where most of the trauma lied. Um, and yeah, as I said, like me and him generally have quite an open relationship. Like we kind of talk about a lot, but it's just certain aspects we don't talk about. Or he's not very open to my feelings.
Yeah.
He's very stubborn. Yeah, he's a very stubborn character. Um, I kind of set in his ways. Um, so yeah, I may bring up some points, but he may not necessarily agree. And he still sticks by what he believes. And yeah, I think that it was a good conversation. It was productive. And yeah, I do think he took it seriously. Um, and yeah, I think we did resolve quite a few matters that we've never really spoken about. It's not that we've never spoken about. I've never raised it. I've never
Yeah.
shown how much it affected me, Um, and yeah, like before I was blind to it. I never really saw any of that. But as years have gone on and people are pointing them out, like including my ex-girlfriend, like yourself, and other friends of mine, um, I started to realize that yeah, maybe I do have some issues that have stemmed from my childhood.
Yeah. Like it was affecting you. In what ways would you say? Like in,
Um, a lot of it was down to confidence. Um, like I wouldn't have the confidence to speak up, like say my opinion, because I was always put down, or quietened. Um, there's some aspects I'm still trying to figure out, like what impact it had on me. Um, but yeah, a lot of it was down to confidence and being put down and not really having a voice.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's crazy, Mihir? It's like most of what our parents said to us as kids, we end up reparenting ourselves with that same energy. So one thing, if you notice me recently telling you, is let's change the language, change the way you speak. Because it's like whenever you have this habit, like whenever you speak about yourself, it's like you lower yourself.
Yeah.
And even though, yeah, that some people might be like, yeah, that's productive because that makes you work harder, it puts you down. So you're never going to be good enough. No matter how much you achieve, you're never good enough. And like, if you think about it, it's like that's the same way your parents kind of spoke to you, right? Your dad especially. And now you are continuing on that habit, even though he might have stopped. So it's crazy. So it's like essentially what the intention for you to speak to your parents, why I make people do this, is because you're facing your deepest mirror. Most people assume we're disconnected. My father is separate to who I am. But the truth is we carry so much of what we've seen from our parents within us. So when you go to speak to your parents, what happens is you're facing your biggest mirror. And how you deal with the mirror will dictate what happens when you walk away. And but the fact is, the fact that you've even turned around and faced the mirror is enough to change your life. So just like this conversation that we're having now, right? For you to be able to understand this and acknowledge this, and even for you to be able to hear this, it's a big step compared to people who have no idea that how their life is running on autopilot, right? So then we moved on to understanding how that energy attracts people towards you, like the way you treat yourself, the way you are with yourself, the way you love yourself, the way you see yourself. And I know that's been a journey for you recently, like kind of like changing the way you feel about yourself, which I'll be like, you're doing a pretty good job, you know? And this is where it gets a bit exciting, because now we go into the real work, like the work that most people will come to me for. It's like the transformation. But to get to this transformation, we have to kind of like unravel you a bit and understand you, help you understand yourself. And yeah, tell us, what's the difference now compared to who you was before?
Oh, man, I think in comparison to before, my confidence is through the roof. Like, I think I've got, and like I have to admit, Jim's helped with that a lot. Like I was kind of self-conscious before. But yeah, my confidence, I'm pretty confident, man. But I'm still putting things to the test, you know. I'm still trying to test myself and see how far I'll go. And like certain aspects, like for example, going up to someone, just speaking to them randomly. Like I haven't done that in many, many, many years. So yeah, I'm kind of out of practice in that sense, because I've never had a need to go up to like a female and just speak to her in the supermarket or a bar or a restaurant, wherever it is. I've had to do that from like a long time. So yeah, I think I'm slowly testing myself. Like I've recently been thinking about doing the lying down challenge again, just to, because it's been a while since I've done it, and just to kind of reiterate everything I've done in this program. Yeah, because I do think I'm gonna take this away with me, and it's gonna change my life like for the rest of my life. And I will here and there come back to this program, you know, and do the challenges that I did initially. So like lying down in the middle of nowhere. Oh, sorry, not in the middle of nowhere, like in the middle of the street or something like that. To test myself and just remind me of what I did in this program and how it's helped me.
I think it's like what I would say is like definitely try the lying down challenge, and also that the playing with tension one. It's like I want you to apply this wherever you go. In terms of what you did with the shop, whenever you say at a shop, like see if you can get something for free, just for fun. Just for fun, and then pay them anyway if they say no. So imagine like you're ordering something next time and just be like, see, like I can get something for free. Let me see it. Like just have fun with it. And you know what's crazy? It's like when you get used to doing this, it's like you're playing with fear again and again and again.
Yeah.
And you get good at it. Like you get really good at it. Like especially when you're communicating with a female, right? Even though it's something I don't do anymore, it's like it's literally all you're playing with is tension. Because in that moment you get nervous, you get anxious, you get scared. but it's how you handle those emotions that dictate the way you express yourself. And when you're doing that in the shop, that's the time where you're definitely getting most likely a no, or it's going to be challenging. It's like you have to ask for what you want. And that's literally it when it comes to like speaking to someone, and because you want to know them, you want to get to know them, so you want something from them. But it's like understanding how to express that without your nerves paralyzing you. Which when you went to the first shop, remember you said 15 seconds and you were done. Then the second time, persistence, you were more persistent with it. And then when you attach the idea that I don't care if it's a yes or no, it's the fact that I tried, it's a success. Trust me, bro. It doesn't matter when you approach like someone that you want to get to know. It doesn't matter what happens afterwards. Even though if you become success oriented, you're most likely you're gonna see it as a fail, right? The whole thing. But if you keep this in mind in terms of it doesn't matter what the outcome was, just the fact that I did it was a success, you walk away a different person. Like you definitely walk away a different person, and it's literally you're playing with tension again and again and again. And like I think the most important thing you can work on right now is your self-love, the way you speak to yourself, the way you like speak about yourself, the way you dream for yourself, the way you want to, because this is what dictates how people will treat you and what you would accept and what you will not accept. Because if we talk down to ourselves and then you get into a relationship where the woman will reflect that back at you, she will reflect the relationship back at you that you have with yourself. So if you speak to yourself like you're a king, you most likely will attract a woman that will do the same. Now, I don't mean this in a way where you're like, you look in the mirror and you're like, yeah, I'm a boss. But deep down inside of you, you're just like you're hardwired to, for that to be an illusion. Right? But I really mean it. Like, how do you show up as a king? You do what a king would do basically for yourself. Like in terms of owning your life, can you own it? For you, that's like getting back into fitness with something big. It's like actually owning your physique, like actually taking control and charge of that and actually proving that to yourself. So it's like that automatically will give yourself a level of confidence. And it's not really the body that's giving you that. It's just you doing what it is that you said you're going to do. Right? And actually seeing results from it. And, gym is like one of the biggest things for a lot of guys and girls, like to build their confidence, because it's like you have to work hard for what you want, right? And it doesn't come easy, but it's like you get to see the results, but it's like it's something that you have to commit to for a lifetime, right? But you're willing to do it for a lifetime. So it's like anything else that you're going to choose to commit to. It's like the same process, but expect it to be difficult, right? If you remember the first time you went gym, right? Like, it's like your body just doesn't want to move as much. That energy ain't there. But you see how slowly you're just like pumped up for it. You're like, okay, let's go get it in. But when you go there, you're gonna walk out the gym like, oh shit, like this was hard. But that was okay. That was a good session. Whereas if you remember the first time you've gone, it's like you did not expect to put that much energy into it. Like it's almost like you want it easy, and you might have gone in the past few years when you worked out previously, and you might have not given that energy, that when you give it your all, and the results speak the same. They don't really reflect that. But the crazy thing is, this is the same thing in everything else. Everything else I've ever done in my life, it's like you have to commit to it like the way you would work out, basically. Like you have to go all in, and it's like you don't think about, is this right? Is this not working? Am I failing? You just try your best and then see what happens. And if you need to adjust, you adjust on the way. But whereas instead, what do most of people do? They sit there and think about it and they don't do nothing, right? So, bro, you're on your way. Like, honestly, like your mindset shift, even if you watch the first video, like if you go back, like you're going to see a big difference. Like, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
And can I ask you, like, how has that impacted the way your relationship is with you now? Like, what is the biggest take for that?
A lot's happened, man. A lot's happened since I completed the program. So, going back to the whole gym point that you made, I previously went to gym for, I don't know, probably 6, 7, 8 months. So a reasonable amount of time. We went pretty much every other day. Um, and I've been going with like yourself for maybe a month and a half now, 2 months
Yeah.
maybe. I've seen more gains now than I did in the 8 months I did previously. You know, so it goes back to the point that you made about the gym. Not only that,
Yeah.
my confidence has improved so much that I previously would fail at interviews for like jobs. Um, and it would be down to confidence. I'll get nervous and like I recently went to like did an interview and I got the job. Um, so like hopefully I should be
Yeah.
starting that soon. But
Um,
I'm terrible at interviews, man. Like te usually I'm terrible at interviews, but this time I did it myself and I prepared. And yeah, like normally I prepare and yeah, it'll go. I'll I'll feel confident as soon as I start it. That's it. It's just yeah, it's a mess. But this time, like the structure, I knew exactly what I was doing, and yeah, I'll say that's due to the program. Like it's helped my confidence so much that I was able to say all the points I revised and like wanted to say, you know. Um, and yeah, like the outcome was there when they offered me the job.
yeah, that's amazing, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's like I think your energy's changed. You know, it's like even the way you speak about yourself is admiring because it's
Mm,
like it's what most people want. It's like even you wanted that before you jumped on the program. It's like just to change the way you see yourself because
mm,
you know what's crazy. It's like we all want to be treated differently by other people. We want to attract more people into our lives that see us differently. But it's like it starts with you first, right?
mm,
Because if we see ourselves a certain way, we just attract people more of the same people that see it the same way.
mm,
Like also like your energy is gonna completely change in terms of dating as well. It's like people will see you differently because you see yourself differently. And you know, this is one of the main messages that I share with everyone. It's like my transformation happened and my biggest fan was me. It wasn't anyone else. It was like I created all of this that I've done for myself.
mm,
And that was like my way of earning my own respect along the way and understanding myself to who I am today. And like now, yeah, people come and validate me and stuff, but it's like I don't want to rely on that because when you rely on that, that can come and go, right? So it's like you don't want to get caught up in external validation, but you wanna be solid in your own foundation.
mm,
So it's like how you see yourself. How can you speak to yourself? How are you your own mentor? How are you your own guide, your own coach? How do you speak to yourself? How do you love yourself? When you fall, what do you say to yourself? It's like that's the main goal here. It's like changing that conversation. And it's not just mentally grasping it like most people hearing this or listening to this. It's like one thing you're like, all right, cool, I'm going to speak more positive to myself. But it's actually understanding where that negative conversations even came from, which is our childhood, right?
mm.
And like shifting that is it's a big step. It's a big step.
Mm.
So I got a question for you. What would you say to the old Mihir that was thinking about jumping in quantum leap?
Good thing you joined the program, man. Like it's helped a lot because yeah, going just on the whole self growth and stuff. Not, I think that's a major plus point of the things you can unlock through the program. But not only that, it's the generational change. You know, because like
100%.
in terms of my my dad's childhood, very similar to the way he brought me up. You know, there's certain things obviously he told himself that he wouldn't do um himself to like his kids, so like myself. Um, but he may not have done it that way, but he did it a different way, you know. So like you're just going along with the trauma unless you make a generational change, which this program's kind of helped me with. So I feel like eventually when I do have children of my own, like I won't make the same mistakes my parents made and my grandparents made.
Definitely. I think that's the most beautiful part about this.
Mm,
It's like you're gonna be a different man for your father.
mm,
I mean, as a father, sorry.
yeah.
And it's like I said this to one of my friends the other day. He's like, you know, we're just becoming the person we need, right? To become the person we needed, right? Like as a child. Like
Mm,
yeah, you take your positive aspects of your dad, but you also understand why he was the way he was, and you change that for the better,
mm,
and you embrace them. Whereas I, like, even myself, it's like when I saw my dad the way he was, it's like he had a lot of positive aspects, but he also had a lot of negative aspects, just like anyone.
Yeah.
But when we reject the negative of them, we also reject the positive in them. So we don't only just reject their negative aspects, we reject what was good about them. And then we struggle to show up. So for example, when I was like rejecting my dad for, you know, his negativity, I was also rejecting him for the good. I couldn't even see the good in him. So it's like unconsciously I was rejecting that within me. I was struggling to work hard, I was struggling to show up, struggling to make decisions. But the more I understood him, the more I forgave him, the more I accepted him, the more I was communicating with him, the more I was like able to forgive him for what he couldn't do and understand him for his strengths. And then embody that in me and like take that with me, but also understand what could have been better, what could have been different. How can I change that for myself and my children one day, inshallah? So yeah, bro, I think that's beautifully said. It's like the generational change. It's like you're gonna be different for your kids, and I think that's the blessing. Like that's really the blessing. Like that makes my job worth it, because when I hear that, it's like it makes me realize, shit, this is big.
That's the two main reasons why I recommend the program, man. Like, it's not only the self growth, but it's also the generational change. You know, don't repeat what your parents have done, your grandparents have done, like all the negatives. Take the positives and learn from their mistakes.
Definitely. And it's like understanding them as well, you know, and like really being able to grasp how that makes a generational change, and like how even those little conversations that you might have had with your dad, it's like most people don't know why it's important, but it's like, for example, if your dad had that chance to have that conversation with his dad, he probably wouldn't have done half the things he done to you. Do you know what I mean? Because he would actually care about your feelings. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like half the time they're doing what they're doing is because they haven't resolved their own trauma. So it's like they end up traumatizing you. They're like, yeah, I went through it worse, right? Like, don't worry about this.
Yeah, you know, it's exactly that. You know, he says it all the time. Like, yeah, I went through this and I went through that. He doesn't know that he did it. He pretty much did exactly the same. You know, just in a different way.
That's mad.
Mm.
You know, that's so mad. This guy, my dad would have said the same thing. He would have said his dad probably beat him like every day or something. So for him, it was like, you got it every other day. So you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah, but like even with him though, like he's very stubborn still. Like, yeah, he's still set in his ways, you know. But I've seen change in him because of the change I've gone through. You know.
Yeah. Like what would the biggest change be?
Like because of the way I've changed, I now voice my opinion, and he values it. Like he'll like before, whereas before he'd like shut it down, like straight up. Yeah, he'd just shut it down. And now, yeah, like he values my opinion, which is a big step. It's a big step.
It's massive, man. That, you know what's crazy is like we can go our whole life seeking for that connection, that value, and like we end up doing it in ways where we achieve so much. We had this like for me personally to feel valued by my dad. That's why I had these big dreams, like to become a millionaire. But as much as that's a strength, it was a big weakness, because for me it was like that drive came from because I don't feel valued. So it's like I want to, like, I'm spending my whole life trying to be this successful guy so I could finally feel valued by my own dad. But whereas now it's like that, don't get me wrong, that drove me to where I am, but it's at the same time it's like I had to make peace with it, because otherwise the fuel was the wrong type of fuel. It was like I was coming from a place of I would never be enough. Like, even when my dad valued me, I probably wouldn't even see it, because I'll be blind to it, because I won't even value myself. So I end up basically repeating what he was doing to me, how he made me feel. I was doing that to myself over and over again. It became a pattern. So to stop the pattern, I needed to actually find my own value. Like, why do I value myself? How do I value myself? What is it how can I be valued at home now? And it's like asking for that, finding a way to get that without it being the very thing that you might think you need to have to get that. it's like for me right now, a lot has changed at home as well. It's like I deal with a lot, like I take a lot of responsibility now, and it's like that has changed my life. And it's like, you know what's crazy? We think we're men when we hit like 21, 22, but it's like the day you can actually have a conversation with your father, no matter how good or bad he was, and you can voice yourself, even if they're toxic, you can still be real to them instead of being quiet like a child. That's the day you've become a man. Whereas before that, if you've lowered your volume, because you're like, we usually say, I have respect of our elderly. Rubbish, man. It's like when you put your volume down, you're still a child, because you're still scared to speak. You're still scared to, your own inner child is hiding. But whereas you have to be your own father and pick yourself up and be like, no, your voice is important. You're gonna speak. It's like you become the man that you wish you had, which is a blessing, right? Because now you know when you have children, right? Like you're gonna be a proud, like you would want to experience what fatherhood would feel like. And of course we're gonna make mistakes, but it's like we'll be willing to learn, and it's like we'll be willing to communicate. We'll be willing to ask them like, what can I do better? How can I be better? Because it's like you change, you constantly seek for changes, like, and you constantly make those changes. And like that's the beauty of this program. Like I didn't even want it to be just a short-term thing, but it's like a lifelong practice, you know, of moments where you're stepping into tension, you're having those difficult conversations, and you're willing to look or go where most people ain't gonna go. Right? And bro, if you think about it, this is the most valuable thing any human being can do with themselves. So it's like when it comes to relationships, when it comes to, you know, a conscious relationship, this is the foundation for healthy conscious relationship.
Yeah,
like
I totally
otherwise
agree with
when
that.
you don't, yeah, like I mean, what would you think the difference would be now if you when you get into a relationship?
It goes back to your initial point about the mirror. You know, the person that you're seeking is gonna be a reflection of you.
Yeah,
And if you have positivity and live with confidence, or however you want to be, you will attract that yourself. In like in your partner.
yeah, definitely. And it's like, yeah, that's I bro, you know, it's crazy because most people might not believe in it, but you don't need to believe in it.
Yeah, you
Like you
don't.
just don't. It's
Yeah.
like going gym, yeah, and hitting the weights hard. You don't need to believe that this is gonna work. You just need to do it.
Mm.
And then like 2 months later, you'll be like, oh shit, like that's me. That's me.
Yeah,
But you
I'll
never
be
need.
honest, man. I was a bit skeptical initially when I started the program. I didn't think it would be. I didn't think that yeah, it was gonna have this much of an impact. But yeah, it's helped a lot. It's helped a lot. And
Definitely.
as I said, like in terms of my story, it's helped with my confidence with my family. It's helped with me getting a new job. Um,
Yeah,
and so many other different like the way I perceive myself.
yeah, definitely.
Mm.
And like cool, I think it's a never ending journey, you know. This the best part about it. It's like you know that okay, there's a lot more work to do, but I've got a solid foundation I'm on right now, and I'm just gonna keep building on top.
Mm.
Right? That's crazy, man. I'm happy for you. I'm happy.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, no worries, man. And like I guess for anyone that's thinking about joining Quantum Leap, what would you say to them?
Don't procrastinate, just do it. Like, don't think about it, just do it. But honestly, like as I said, I was a bit skeptical myself. But yeah, it's the biggest. It was a big decision at the time. And yeah, I think the outcome was great. Like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't take it back at all. And yeah, because the two things that you can take away with you is the growth in you, but also that generational change that we talked about earlier.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, I want to thank you for making time for this, and for anyone that's watching. You know, you've heard it all here. There's going to be many more testimonials coming up. This is one of the few that you're seeing now, and thank you for taking time for this, Mihir.
Yeah, thanks, bro, for all the insight and like the help with the program.
No worries, man. No worries. And it's just the beginning. That's the thing.
Mm.
Me and Mihir, we go gym. If everyone recognizes you, probably from there.
We're going today. We're going today.
We're going today. We're going today. I'm actually excited for it. I can't lie.
Yeah, you know, I'm so my man.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
But bro, I want to thank you for making time for this, and for anyone that's watching. You know, again, if you do want to sign up to Quantum Leap, there'll be a link down below. Just check it out. Book a call with me, and we'll see what goes on from there. But other than that, Mihir, I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of Quantum Leap, and like, you know, part of my journey as well, because you've you know, you taught me a lot, and I was grateful to be able to work with you, because I know how much of an impact it had, and like from who you were to who you are, and who you're like continuously unfolding to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, even just seeing you change slowly day by day, even like that, your self love, you know, like talking to yourself. It's like, even when we're at the gym, it's like that little thing, like from I try to I will. It's like, you don't even need to believe in it, just say it anyway. That's like the big little changes like that. Is like everything. It's everything. Right?
Yeah, man.
Alright, cool, man. I want to thank you for being here, and I'll message you later on anyway, and I'll catch you in a bit.
Alright, bro.
Alright,
Speak to you later.
alright. Take
Bye.
care, man.